Hey guys, it's Big Bear here. Starting my first Warhammer Fantasy Tactica video, and I think one of the good things to cover when first starting this is stuff with army selection, because a lot of you guys watching tactical videos like this are new to the game and want to know like what is the best thing I can actually do with my characters. Um, what can I do to optimize their effect? And with the new books coming out, they're cutting down a lot of the magical items, so we're stuck with a lot of the rulebook ones. And I figure the easiest thing is just to cover them, and that gives everybody a broad scope of what to do. So the first thing I want to say with this is that when you take magical items, they are unique. You may not have more than one of the exact same kind. Now, with that being said, if you play Lizardman, I should say, and you take a Dispel Scroll, so you're trying to shut down the enemy's magic phase, and then you take a Cube of Darkness on a different character, then you can effectively have two Dispel Scrolls with one with a even more optimized effect to stopping magic. So if you really hate magic, you can take two little skinks, and then those two items, and those two alone will help you shut down a lot of the opponent's phase. But you can have two Dispel Scrolls, so that's something to think about. And then the other thing in the rule book that you want to look at is that it's called Magical Interference on page 172. Wizards cannot have any armor. I've seen a lot of people enlist try to give their wizards magical armor, and it is a nice proposition, but most wizards trade out their armor for the arcane item upgrade. There's a few exceptions. I mean, you got the Skaven with their plague priest. He can have armor and arcane items, so that's pretty cool. And there's a couple other armies that can do the same thing, Chaos and a couple others. So you really need to read your book to make sure, and then uh, make sure you're checking out the items there, because that could be a big opener up for your character. So the first thing we're going to start, our second thing, since I already said first, is going to be magical weapons. Um, Magical weapons are pretty awesome, and they don't have to necessarily be taken just because you're trying to kill everybody, which I'll cover later. So the big thing with this, though, if you are reading the magical weapon page in the rulebook, at the very beginning, it basically sums up that you take a magical weapon, you are forced to use it. So don't think you can take the Sword of Bloodshed and then take a great weapon and, oh, I need that +2 strength instead of more attacks. No, you have to use the magical weapon. Basically, your guy's obsessed with it like Golem. So that's something to think about. Alright, so now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. I'm going to start on the top left hand side of the list and just kind of work my way down. That way we can just go from there in an organized fashion. So, anyway, the first blade is called the Giant's Blade. It gives you +3 attacks. +3 strength. This sword is okay. I honestly think for the most part, if you're going to take something like this, it's going to have to be on a Lord. But if you're going to take it, most of the time you're going to want to just do a great weapon instead, because it's so many points. 60 points. That's a huge investment. Um, if you have a character you really want to hit really hard, get him in a flank, that could be good, especially if you're, night hunting or something like that. But, you know, I don't know. I just don't see the greatness in it. The only place, not the only place, but the place where this blade really will show in certain armies, I'm gonna say would be like Empire. With your uh, Grandmaster with its 4 attacks. Just armies that have lower strength characters and that need to hit really hard to make up for the fact that they just don't have a ton of attacks. So that's probably what I see that one excelling at. The Sword of Bloodshed is the next one. That's a 60-point sword as well. The cool part about this sword, +3 attacks, is that you put it on an Empire General, not that impressive. Put it on a Goblin character, not that impressive. But if you put this on a War Boss, or you put this on a Saurus Old Blood, he naturally has Strength 5. Now, Strength 5 to me is the perfect number to have on a character, because you're wounding most line infantry on 2s, because the average army that you fight will have toughness 3. Now sure, there's the monsters and this and that, but you want to mix your characters up to specialize in different aspects. But for one of your characters to be super killy, give this to a Scarvet, and there you go. He's got 7 strength 5 attacks. That's a ton of attacks. Actually not Scarvet, sorry, it's too many points for him. But like an Old Blood, I mean, that gives him almost 8 attacks. I mean, it's just a lot of damage that he can put out at strength 5. So that's something to look at there. Like I said, it's going to excel on any army that has a high strength character. The lower strength, it's really not worth it on like a Templar Grandmaster or something. He's gonna have 7 strength 4 attacks. Strength 4 is not that impressive, so something you gotta think about. The next one, 50 points, so this can be taken by heroes, is the Obsidian Blade. It's basically a power weapon. You get no armor saves against it. And this thing's great, especially for armies with high strength characters, but it's great for even armies like Empire and such, because you can use this to be an assassination guide. I mean, I can't count how many times I've seen people, they go in there with their 1-up save, re-rollable, and this and that. You're like, hey, cool, I know you spent all those points on armor save, take 3 wounds. If you have a ward, take it, otherwise your guy's dead. So it's a great blade, not necessarily needed every single time. I think you can get better for cheaper with the points cost ratio here on some of the other things, but it is a good blade to keep in mind to keep your guy cheap. So you give it to a Tomb King, and he's got 4 power weapon attacks at strength 5. He's just going to carve through heavy infantry or cavalry. So you do that. You take your Tomb King and put him on chariot and have him slam into some Chaos Knights, and there they go, blam, all dead. So yeah, it's pretty good for that. The next one's the Ogre's Blade. And this one, I have a hard time taking it, period, due to the fact that it's +2 strength for 40 points. And I mean, the only benefit this thing gives you over a great weapon is that you can take a shield. And that's cool, but I just don't see it. I mean, you might as well just take the great weapon. And I mean, if you have the only time you really would want to take this over the great weapon is if I guess an army you could see it shine with is armies like Skaven, or especially Wood Elves. Armies that have incredibly high initiative and okay strength, so that means they're going to swing first. You give them this thing here, and blam, they're throwing in crazy amount of attacks at higher strength, and before the enemy goes. So they get a challenge, and it'll help them out. The next one's Sword of Strife, +2 attacks, as described earlier. It's great. Any of the +2 attack spells are great. I mean, not spells, weapons are great on characters with high strength. Or I will also say they excel at characters with Killing Blow. That's something I forgot earlier. If you have somebody has Killing Blow, make him have as many attacks as possible and just slam him into the enemy's biggest, baddest model that can be instant killed due to Killing Blow. And there you go. You're bound to get a 6 if you have 7 attacks. So that's pretty good. Now, Fencer's Blade, this is one of the best weapons in this whole list. And it's double weapon, so you get +1 attack. That's what paired weapon means. And then you get weapon skill 10. Now it's cheap enough at 35 points that you don't have to worry about like, oh my god, is it this huge investment? Weapon skill 10 is great due to the fact that you're going to be hitting on 3. So this makes Doom Bull have an insanely high weapon skill, hitting on 3s, wounded on 2s most of the time because he's strength 5. Really good. But the other thing this is really cool. That is really cool about this weapon is that you can put it on like a wizard. I mean, now you have a wizard with weapon skill 10. He has another attack which never hurts. Even if it's just strength 3, 1 buff spell goes off on your unit. Let's say you do the Fiery Sword of Ruin or whatever it is. You +1 to wound. So there you go. He has 2 attacks, wounding on 3s. It helps. So the main thing with weapon skill 10, basic infantry are going to hit him on 5s. So it stops a lot of those. It deters a lot of attacks to try to just kill your wizard in their base. I know every time I touch a Grey Seer, I'm just like, cool, how many guys can touch that bell? Okay, they're all swinging on your Grey Seer. Now, the weapon skill thing is a deterrent, so that'll force me, with my orcs, like you've seen in one battle report, not to swing on that Grey Seer, as much. I probably still would try, but he probably will live. He has a 4-up save with the ward, and then he has weapon skill 10, and that's not counting any other defensive stuff you give him. So it's really good on models that you want to keep alive, and you are also gaining attack, so it's also offensive as well for a good point cost. The next one is Sword of Antiheroes. 30 points pretty cheap. The bearer has +1 strength and attack for every enemy character in base contact with him or his unit. That's the big wording there that you need to see. It says or his unit. So you touch an enemy unit, like let's say you're fighting Empire. This sword's good on anybody you're fighting against Empire. I mean, Empire players will have wizards and generals and warrior priests all crammed to a unit. You touch them, your guy becomes a monster. I mean, he has +3 attacks, +3 strength. Also great against fighting orcs and goblins. You touch a goblin unit, sometimes a whole unit's just made of goblin, the whole front rank. So you have goblin heroes with great weapons. So there you go, your guy's just carving people apart. So, and you can kill 3 of those characters in one go before they even blink. So it's a great sword. I haven't used it a ton, I will say that. But then again, my metagame in my area is that I don't fight a lot of Empire guys. I don't fight a lot of Orc and Goblins. I'm pretty much the only Orc and Goblin player. So if I was playing tournaments and stuff, it's a great sword to take, and you'll see it in a lot of lists. So it's pretty good. The next one is the Spell Thieving Sword. The wizard suffers unsaved wound for every spell taken. Not really that great to me, because most of the time when you're getting hand to hand with a wizard, you're just going to kill him anyway. Why not just give him the Sword of Antiheroes 5 points more, and you can just kill the wizard. So I'm not impressed with that one at all. I mean, I guess you could take it for fun, but other than that, it's just not that impressive. So the next one is Sword of Swift Slaying. The Weller, he has always strike first. Now this is great putting it on the Doom Bull, because he has a niche 5, so he's pretty fast, and you give him this here, he has always strike first. Well, why would I do that? Well, because rulebook says if you have always strike first and a higher niche, you reroll to hit. So now you have Doom Bull with his kabillion attacks, re-rolling to hit, 3s to hit, re-rollable. I mean, he's just going to kill a lot of guys. So this thing excels, especially on fast, strong armies, like our characters like Doom Bull. Not so much on Warboss, because he's pretty slow. Scarvet's really, Scarvet's really slow, and so's the Old Blood. But I mean, it can still be okay on those guys, because they are so slow that now they get their attacks, which their attacks will swing combat. So it's give or take with that. But like I said, you want to go Doom Bull is where it shines the most, and I'm sure there's a couple others out there that I haven't really seen. But the next one's Sword of Battle, +1 attack, 20 points, lets you have a shield. It's okay. I mean, you could just take 2 hand weapons. Most characters that you're going to want to use this on, you could just do 2 hand weapons anyway. So I guess it's a good option if you really want to keep your guy defensive and not to die, and get him stronger. A lot of times you'll see this on Battle Standard. No, not on Battle Standard Bearers. You'll see it on Battle Standard Bearers that have a decent amount of thing, like a Black Orc Battle Standard Bearer. Sometimes people will put it on there. But his arm to the teeth thing, sums that up. But if you do that, gain a +1 attack, you can have the shield, keep your BSB alive. So it's okay. But I think there's a more practical use later that I'll describe with the Sword of Might. So the Berserker sword gives your guy Frenzy. Don't really like it. Frenzy is okay. If it gave the unit Frenzy, it would be awesome. But giving just the guy Frenzy, it gives you pretty much the drawbacks, and then he gets +1 attack. Not worth it to me. I would never do it. So that's just my own personal preference. I guess if you want to get units to be immune to psychology, for charges and stuff, I mean, it could work out, but I just don't see it. So the next one's Sword of Might. This is described as earlier like the Sword of Battle, same exact thing, except this one makes your your Wargore with Battle Standard Bearer strength 5 and have a shield and all this stuff. So he's really defensive. You know, it's only 20 points, so it costs you 20 there. You take the enchanted shield. He's gaining, you know, plus two armor save from that. You know, and then heavy armor. He's at 4 up, and then you know, give him scaly skin, 3 up, 2 up. I mean, that's really defensive, and he's strength 5. So that's pretty good. Pretty good weapon. It's also great on a lot of Empire characters, goblins. I mean, it's 20 points, a great weapon. It usually costs 6 in most books. 14 more points, you get a swing and an ish, you get to have a shield. It's a good buy in my book. The next one, the Gold Sigil Sword. Attacks with this are made at initiative 10. It's cheap, so you know, you got to think of that. The only real practical thing about it is if you have like something that has killing blow, get it at initiative 10. It's really cheap. You want to keep these guys as cheap as possible because most of the time they fly in there, go crazy, attack, and they try to get their killing blow, and if they don't, they're dead. So I mean, this could let them get all their attacks, so that's pretty good. The next one, Sword of Striking. This is one of my favorite spell. I keep saying spells for some reason. Favorite sword in the whole armory there, because the +1 to hit is huge. Now you're thinking +1 to hit. What's the big deal with that? Well, you know, you give it to a war boss. He's hitting on 3s against almost everybody because he's a combat monster. Now you give him the sword. He's hitting on 2s because it's +1 to hit, not +1 to weapon skill. So it's important to remember. This thing is going to excel with big, tough big bads like war bosses, doom bulls. I keep coming to mind because really I've only played beastmen and orcs too much to have big bags, but lizardmen, those armies. So the next one, Biting Blade, it's 10 points, gives you armor piercing. It's okay. If you're gonna do armor piercing, you might as well just do a great weapon, I think. So not really worth it in my book. Then you have the Relic Sword. The Relic Sword says that you always win off 5 up unless you need lower. Again, these are, you know, the cheapest, so you can't expect a ton out of them. That's okay if you're, you know, I don't even think there are any strength 3 heroes out there other than wizards, but they really don't want to be fighting anyway. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see a practical use for it. The Shrieking Blade, your bearer causes fear. That's kind of cool because it, you know, for being real cheap, it makes your, you know, the rare chance that your enemy fails that leadership test for only 10 points. Bam, their weapon skill 1. That's pretty good. So, like I said, that one's gonna excel on, you know, the big bads again, but it's also not bad on like an Empire guy because they don't have a lot of stuff that causes fear. So that can actually let them get into the fear game. And causing fear is also big because it's not necessarily the fact that you're going to make everybody roll leadership tests. It also means he's not going to need to. So if you want him to, you know, not worry about dropping a weapon skill 1, which, you know, is not just about hitting, it's also about getting hit. You know, so skeletons, right without any buff, will be hitting you on 3s if you fail a fear test. So if he causes fear, he won't fail a fear. So that's something to think about. The next one, Tormentor Sword. A monster or character that suffered an unsaved wound with a Tormentor Sword has stupidity for the rest of the game. It's 5 points. That's its saving grace. It's, you know, give or take, whatever. Some games, you know, it might happen. But it's kind of cool to give to a character really fast. Things that come to mind, Dark Elf Assassins, and Skaven Assassins. You give it to that guy, he goes in there, tries to attack him. If he doesn't kill him, maybe you get a wound off, he's stupid. And while it, you know, it doesn't play that big a part of the game, sometimes I've seen stupid checks, you know, from Lizardmen players and you know, other armies of trolls lose in the game because they're like, oh, I'm leadership 10, I don't care, bam, fail. And you know, whoa. So a thing that's in conjunction that could be really good with this is if you take I think it's death magic, it's either death or shadow, but one of them lower your leadership of a given character by 3. So there you go, he's just going to be stupid, stumbling all over the place. You know, pretty cool for 5 points. And the next thing, the next weapon is going to be Warrior Bane Sword. A monster or character that suffers permanently loses 1 attack. Again, same thing applies to Tormentor Sword, trying to get them there for cheap. And the big thing with these two little cheap swords, I would even go so far as the 10-point cheap swords, so the Biting Blade, Relic Sword, and the Shrieking Blade, is that they're magical weapons. So while you don't, you know, you take a a character real cheap, let's say you take like me, I take a Necrotech for my Tomb Kings, keep him real cheap. I can throw the Warrior Bane on sword on him. Why? Well, he has 2 attacks at strength 4, not oh my god crazy, but he's going to be weapon skill probably 5 because of Prince in the unit, and then he's going to reroll hit because he has hatred. So those 2 attacks will probably hit, and that Warrior Bane sword or the Tormentor sword, I mean, I can kill ethereal creatures. So normally you get ethereal creatures hit your unit, you're just sitting there staring at them. It's a really cheap option, and it lets you get them out of the way. So that's the main use for those swords there. I mean, honestly, if they really didn't have an extra effect and it was just 5 points for a magical sword, it would just say magic sword and that's it, just 5 points. I'd probably still take it from time to time, because it helps with those things. And yeah, you don't fight a lot of ethereal units, but when you do fight them and that hit, they do get into your lines, and you don't have a magic weapon, it really sucks. Have Wraith just tearing you apart, and you're like, cool, I just hope he rolls bad so I can maybe, pop him from combat res. And that's not something you want to hope on. You want to, kill those guys and get them out of your way. So, there we go. We're going to go ahead and stop this video here with the magic weapons, and I'm going to start another one on magic armor. And I think we'll just do each section independently now that I'm really thinking about it. I think it's a good break, so people don't have to sit here for 25 days listening to this one video. So I'm going to stop here, and then I hope to see some views for magic armor. So thanks again.